All right, so I'm going to start with the least interesting question, but I promise I'll get better.
All right.
For people who aren't familiar with the Prox Transmissions, just give us a quick breakdown of what it's about.
Yeah. The Prox Transmissions graphic novel is a reimagining of a novel by the same name, which was put out by the Starset Society, which is a group that's looking at science and technology and how it's affecting our lives as we go into the near future, and how it's shaping things in both positive and negative ways. And the Prox Transmissions itself tells the inception story of how the Starset Society came to be.
Cool. Now, you obviously you have this very successful band, and you've written this book. How did it then become a project with Marvel Comics?
Yeah, the actual full-length novel was already created, and we had a meeting. I was sort of representing Starset, the band, with Marvel, as to possibly do some work with maybe some playlisting or placement of songs, and they asked about the Starset Society, and I told them the general scope and goals of it, and mentioned the novel, and we just got into that. And 3 meetings later, they offered a partnership.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And were you excited when you found out that Peter David was going to be adapting it? Were you familiar with his work already?
Yeah, I was. In fact, when I knew that the Starset Society had partnered with Marvel, and I immediately set to try to reading as much as I could on graphic novels, because although I'd worked on the novel, I'd never done that. So I got a book, and I was the same. I'm reading it. It's on my coffee stand, and I'm always reading it at the time. And Marvel calls and says, Peter David is going to help turn the novel into the graphic novel for you. He's going to partner up with you. And I look at this book, and Peter David had written it.
Oh, crazy!
Yeah,
one of those coincidences.
Yeah. So it was really cool.
Now, starting a successful band is not an easy project.
Mm-hmm.
And then you decided, well, I'm not going to just start a band. I'm going to also create a society, and I'm going to load it up with all kinds of science and really awesome science fiction imagery and all this cool stuff. Like, how did that all come about? Like really, what was sort of the impetus to take it in this direction rather than just being like, hey, I'm going to play songs?
Yeah. Well, first off, it isn't band-centric. It is the Starset Society-centric. The band and the comic and the book, they're all tentacles of the Starset Society.
Okay.
And so it started with that. And for me, where it started was I almost have a PhD in engineering. I have a master's degree. I did a lot of research in various fields and worked on various things, and it became an inescapable fact to me that the double-edged nature to a lot of the emerging technology. For instance, I worked on a thing, persistent surveillance, which could detect if an IED exploded. You could rewind in time and find out where it came from in the battle. That's amazing, but you could also put that same technology over a city, and it never goes away, and it becomes pretty Minority Report-ish.
Right.
If used the wrong way.
Sure.
I had a huge passion. In fact, my master's degree, everything about it was I wanted to be at the forefront of automated cars. I really had a passion for it. And at the same time, you come to realize that Uber, for instance, is going to have driverless cars.
Right.
They already do in Pittsburgh.
Right.
Eventually, all of these new jobs for Uber are going to be replaced. All the cabbies are going to be replaced. Semi-truck drivers on many hauls will be replaced. Insurance, once it gets super cheap, that entire industry will sort of collapse. And so many lives will be saved by automated cars, but also many jobs will go away. And you start to see how the future is shaping from things like that. And
Right.
the Starset Society exists to explore those things, not give an answer, but just try to increase public awareness of how those changes are happening, so that we can be at least informed as a public, so that we're not creating boogeymen, for instance, in politics, where people are losing most of the changes that are happening are technology based, and we're sort of creating boogeymen for why immigrants, for instance, instead of looking at the prime causes, and that's just pervasive throughout society, how technology is changing things.
Right. Go ahead.
Where's this love of science? How did that start with you? Where did it come from?
I think most kids have at least a love for something scientific, whether it's space or dinosaurs or things like that. For me, it just kept growing on itself. Maybe it was a combination. Maybe a combination of introversion and lack of friends. Maybe as a little kid, and I would just read. I found a passion for reading biographies of scientists and inventors, and I decided I wanted to be one of those people. And haven't quite stayed on that path, become its own version of something. But yeah, at a young age, I wanted to sort of be an infamous scientist.
I think being a rock and roll scientist is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Make it your own thing.
Yeah.
I noticed with, I really dig the music, I have to say, and I love how like cinematic it is, and I noticed even like the liner notes with the artwork and everything, and even the graphic novel, everything has this very large scope to it. And I was just curious, like, if that's something that you set out to do, or is that just sort of how your style developed, or are you really working to kind of push the boundaries of all of your mediums?
Yeah. So I'm glad you noticed that the band as a sort of larger than life cinematic sci-fi outreach of the Starset Society, which is partially rooted in science and reality. The band is not just cinematic in sound, but in look, in marketing even. There's a fourth wall. It's supposed to feel like a movie, essentially. That me as the singer, or Ron over there as the bassist, he has a personal page that's not secret in terms of social media, but when he represents the band, he's much like an actor in a movie, me as well. And we want to represent our brand and band in that way. It is larger than life, and it is larger than just the band itself.
Right. Do you find that your audiences though really connect with that? It seems like the kind of thing that people really can get into.
Yeah. In fact, we're very. I would say the label has had a little bit of a hard time staying with that because it's not really low-hanging fruit.
Right.
And makes things harder. But I think the fans do appreciate it.
Cool.
Yeah.
It's nice that you do seem to have an awful lot of control over the whole thing. You don't often hear that nowadays. It's somebody starts off with their own sound and the label gets involved and it gets focused that way. Have you had any major fights with the label, or has it been easy, or have you enjoyed it, or have you had to really struggle with some of the things to get it over across to them?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's been easy, but the reason it hasn't been impossible is that we started before them. The record was completed before there was a record label. It was climbing the charts. It wasn't doing as well as it did once we signed with them, but we had some leverage early on, contractually even, to maintain artistic integrity. But yes, there have been plenty of arguments over perspective and going maybe with the tried and true over what our approach was, but we've been steadfast in that, and having that leg up contractually has helped as well. But as far as labels go, they're pretty open-minded. They're not a full major label, so whereas a major label might be like a huge oil tanker trying to steer in the ocean, they're more of a very large steamboat, I guess.
Right. Cool.
So Elon Musk, he's doing the driverless cars. He's also planning on going to Mars by 2022. I think he was talking. What's going with this? Yeah. So how do you feel about that? Would you like to be a band playing on Mars if the opportunity ever arose? Would you like to be involved in that project if you could?
Probably not the Mars one because it's a one-way trip with Elon. But I have friends at SpaceX, and we've done the tour and trying to reach further into the SpaceX community, and have actually spoken with a lot of their media people. We've been very close to them using Starset music for their various marketing. So
it does sound like a good combination of slots together. Yeah.
That would be that would be where I would like to sort of get involved. as much as I love space and think we need planetary redundancy in terms of colonizing Mars, I personally probably wouldn't be one of the first ones to go.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
A couple more questions, but do you, obviously seeing the Prox Transmissions brought to life in the graphic novel was really cool. Have you thought about if they made a movie out of it, who'd you like to play any of the characters?
Yeah. The thing is, this is the weirdest thing. And I've never been good at it. I'm terrible with actor names. So I could be like, that guy.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So bad at it. But it would be amazing to see some of it come to life on a larger scale, video-wise. And that's one of the goals of the Starset Society. We have all of these media that we're working on. We want to really start pushing the video side of things further than just the Starset music videos. And yeah, that would be amazing. The second novel that's being created, it could be the candidate.
Oh,
actually.
cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Which leads into my last question, actually, which is basically, are we going to see more collaborations with Marvel, and what else is next for you, the band, the Starset Society? What else is looking forward to?
As far as the Starset Society, we are working on a second novel, which we're hoping for commercial success on the Marvel side of the graphic novel, because it's a major corporation, and I'm sure that's going to be the major factor if they keep the partnership going, but we're pretty confident, and I think that the next installment is going to be even better. It's going to be great. The Starset Society is also putting out a new website that has clearer delineation between the educational and public awareness, science and technology side, and the sci-fi hyperbole example side and multimedia side. That'll be out in November. Cool. The band, we're going to announce we're currently on tour. Mm-hmm. We're also announcing a big headline tour that's across a couple continents for early next year. Awesome. And working on some really, really secret high-tech stuff. We're always doing that with the band, but we have something that we're super pumped about.
Awesome.
Yeah, lots of stuff.
Cool. I look forward to hearing when that gets announced.
Yeah.
Awesome. Great. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us today.
Thank you.